Hello, this is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with 2014 NFL Draft. I want to just review it and analyze it and just share how I look at it for the upcoming year. I'm really looking for starters. All these offensive linemen, I think it's a waste to draft them in the first round. I think the difference in skill set between Tom Brady and Josh Freeman is huge. I mean, it's the difference between the Super Bowl and winning 5 games. Okay, the difference between an All-Pro offensive lineman and the guy who's not All-Pro offensive lineman probably isn't that big, especially centers and guards. They're probably maybe a dime a dozen. You can get a guy from Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Florida. Guess what? He's probably, you can draft a guard, you can get him free agent, you can get him in the first round or the last round. It probably isn't going to be a whole lot of difference. The tackles maybe a little bit, but I still wouldn't waste a first round pick. Occasionally you get an Orlando Pace or a John Handa, but generally the left tackle on Green Bay, who can name, the left tackle on Cincinnati, Seattle, Detroit, Pittsburgh, probably can't name them. They're probably all very much the same. When the team blitzes, guess what? The left tackle doesn't do anything. So I really don't take a lot of value in these early round tackles and guards and stuff. The other thing I don't really take credence to is this is the way they go to this draft day and they're looking at speed. And it really isn't how you draft. I mean, you draft football. Does the guy have skills in football? Can he catch? Not how fast is he? Because can the guy get open? If the guy's fast, can't get open, and drops the ball, what good is it? I mean, just because he's fast doesn't mean anything. Nehemiah on San Francisco in the day, Bob Hayes, Earl McCall of the Lions. You get these track guys, they're fast, but they can't play football. So you're looking for football players. So I don't get these whole pro days. You know, you'll watch the guy play in the games. You watch the Ohio State, Michigan, USC, UCLA, Alabama, Auburn. How did the guy play in that game? Because guess what? That's probably his skill set. That's how he plays under pressure. And it's really a good barometer. These bowl games, I think, are a little overrated as far as like Jamarcus Russell at LSU had a big day against Notre Dame. Meanwhile, the guy was terrible against Florida, and they lost the game because he fumbled at the goal line. Tells me more about the guy than he beat up a terrible Notre Dame offense and defense in a bowl game. So I don't get these scouts. It's like they don't watch the teams in the regular season, or they discount them too much. But they're looking at the wrong variables. And the last thing is this Mel Kiper. Here's how here's a magazine from last year, College Football, right? It's Athlon Sports. It gives you the All-Americans. All I got to do is read that, and this is all Mel Kiper's, all right? I mean, it's, everybody there just about went and got drafted. So it's not hard to say, wow, this guy's listed as an All-American. I'm going to, Taylor Lewan of Michigan. He's an All-American there, first team. All right, let's draft him. I mean, that's really kind of weak, and nobody really calls out Mel Kiper when he picks a Ryan Leaf or he picks a Josh Freeman or whoever he picks and they suck. Nobody says, hey Mel, you said you liked him in the first round and they suck. What's wrong? So it's just funny. It's like he's like a weatherman. It's going to be sunny today and it rains. You don't really call it the weatherman, and that's to me Mel Kiper. I think he's terrible. I don't see how he adds any value. And this Todd McShay, I mean, they're just too stupid. They shouldn't be on there because they're actually relying on these players. And I mean, I could just read off the book here and look how smart I am. The difference is, and this is why you pay me the big bucks, and this is why we win every single year that I've been handicapping since 1977. I've never had a losing year because not only do I have the numbers and I have the science, but I have the art. I know skill. I can look at a game. I can watch UCLA play. And one of our locks was UCLA Virginia Tech in the bowl game. We locked UCLA. We being me, but I like to talk in terms of us being a team here. And in that game, clearly Virginia Tech did not have the defense to stop the UCLA quarterback. He's too much talent. They had too much defense. Watching Virginia Tech lose to Duke, lose to North Carolina, lose half their games, said to me, this team's not good. They don't have a good offense. There's no way they're going to keep the game close. And the spread was 7. I'm laying 1. And I'm looking at Virginia Tech going, this team, the defense isn't going to stop the quarterback of UCLA. And they don't have an offense. Their quarterback's terrible. They have no offense. How are they going to score and keep up with UCLA? I mean, it was the easiest pick I think I had the whole bowl season, except for Michigan State. But, I mean, basically, that's what you're looking at. So, what is it, that's what I bring you to the table, is spotting the skill and having that ability to go, this guy's not good, this guy's very good. And finding the matchup, and that's what I bring to the table, and that's what we're looking at. So anyway, these are the variables that I bring, the art and the science. So anyway, let's get on with let's do the NFC first. We're going to go team by team pretty quickly. I don't want to, draw it out, and especially with these linemen. So Arizona, I think their strong safety from Washington State was an average pick. I think they could have done better in the first round. Coming from Washington State, he sees a lot of passing from Mike Leach on their offense. I think there was better safeties to take, but I think he'll be okay. I wish they would have went LSU because they already have Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson in their backfield, and Patrick Peterson's the best defensive back in the league with Darrelle Rivas. So I think they should have went LSU, but with that said, I still like the pick. I don't like Logan Thomas, the quarterback from Virginia Tech. I do not think he should have been drafted. He shows no skill, he shows no heart, and he shows he's not a winner. What is it you see about? He's got a good arm. Where was that? I mean, I'm watching them lose half their games in the ACC, which was absolutely terrible this year, except for Florida State. So I really have a hard time going, boy, that was a good pick. That was a wasted pick. Guy will never make the team. He's not a good quarterback. I don't know what they think they see that he's a good quarterback. So I give them a very weak grade, Arizona. I graded them in either very good, good, average, or weak. Weak being like, what was the point? And in this, I see maybe this one starter is the strong safety, their #1 pick, but I don't even know if he's, maybe the 5th guy in the secondary on that team. Arizona's loaded defensively. They needed some offense. Atlanta, I thought, had a weak draft also. Picking Matthews, the offensive tackle from an A&M, was an All-American, but I don't see that I'd waste the first pick. They need defensive help. Hageman was first team Big Ten, the defensive tackle from Minnesota. I again question that pick. You had better defensive linemen from Michigan State you could have taken, or Ohio State ahead of a guy from Minnesota. Minnesota did not have that strong of a defense, so I don't really see that. It was weak, just a very weak draft for Atlanta. Their only hope is Julio Jones is back and Roddy White's back. They've lost Gonzalez, but they do have the big fella, their running back. Oh my God! Why can't I think of him? I thought of him before. The big fella from St. Louis. Oh, I'm sorry. I got so many names swimming around in my head I can't remember it. Anyway, Steven Jackson. I apologize. So if Steven Jackson's healthy, they'll be two-dimensional. Is Matthews even going to be beating out their offensive tackle? And really, that wasn't their problem last year. Their defense was bad, and really the fact that they lost Roddy White and Julio Jones was their problem, because they had, just take out Gonzalez. Steven Jackson missed half the season, and when he came back, they played pretty well near the end. So I think it was a very weak draft for Atlanta. Next team up is Carolina. I think it was an average draft. They picked up 2 starters. Benjamin, the wide receiver from Florida State, who won the championship for them. I think he'll be very clutch in third down situations. I don't think he's got the speed, but I think he's got the height and the ability. And the other is Gaffney, the running back from Stanford. I think he was a nice draft late, and I think those 2 will be starters. The rest of it I thought was weak. I think their second pick and their third pick were questionable picks. it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I didn't like him. Next team, Chicago, I thought was a very good draft. I like the defensive tackle from Arizona State. The guy from LSU, just because he's from LSU, I think it's a good pick. Fuller, their cornerback from Utah, I think is questionable, but I think he'll be okay. And I really like this Carey, the running back from Arizona, and Fales, the quarterback from San Jose State. I think are both very good. Carey should make a good impact behind the kid from Tulane. Again, I'm drawing a blank. That they already have, so I think it's a nice backup carry. He'll be a good running back. They got Jared Allen from the Vikings, so that should help them. And it's kind of a trade, him for Peppers, but then they still need to replace Urlacher, and if Lance Briggs, and then they lost superstar Devin Hester, who was really a good cornerback. He kind of got screwed by the rule change where you can't, you kick the ball through the end zone every time, so he can't run back kicks. So I just think that I don't understand this kickoff, but that's another story. But I think they had a very good draft, Chicago. Next NFC team is Dallas. I have to give them an E. The terrible draft. You could have had Johnny Manziel. Now, Johnny Manziel, as far as I'm concerned, lit up Alabama 2 years in a row for 42 points. You name anybody else in the Nick Saban era who gave up 42 points to. Now, last year, Alabama's defense wasn't that good. They lost a lot of guys to the pros. But 2 years ago, they had the #1 defense, and he lit them up. And if he can light up Arizona, absolutely, this kid can play. I don't care how small or big he is. I think that's ridiculous how tall he is or how much he weighs. Do you remember a guy named Joe Montana who was about 6 feet 1, 180 pounds? He was pretty durable. He won how many Super Bowls? He could win. He was a winner. Manziel was a winner. He beat Alabama. Even the second year last year when they were down to Alabama, he made it a game. And it wasn't his fault the defense was terrible last year. Against Duke, they're down 18, 20 points. He comes back and wins the game. He's a winner. Joe Montana at Notre Dame. We won a lot of money betting on him then. I remember the Cotton Bowl against Houston. They're down 20 points. He's got hypothermia in the locker room. They finally get him heated up. He comes back, boom, boom, boom. Houston with a 20-point lead loses 31-30. I won a ton of money on that game. I trapped that game. I think Houston was a 1-point favorite or something, and I had double teased it. But basically, Montana won. You knew he was a good quarterback. You knew he was a winner. And that's what I see with Manziel. Forget the height. Forget the small frame. He didn't really get hurt that much in college, any more than anybody else gets hurt in college. So I don't buy any of that stuff. Look at RG3. He hurt his knee in college. He's a lot bigger and a lot taller, but guess what? He got hurt. So I think that whole injury and height thing is absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous. I think that they could have had Manziel. Now, we all know Romo was a choke. He never wins, hasn't won a playoff game. And he had a hurt back last year and didn't play in the final game against Philadelphia. So you're dealing with a guy who's hurt. He's got a hurt back. That's not something that heals. With a hurt back and a choker, you could have Manziel. And how much more is Romo going to be there? Another 2-3 years? And you could have had Manziel, who's far and away better than Romo. Even if you sat Manziel this year until Romo got hurt or until he choked in the playoff game, you've got they drafted a guard from Notre Dame. Seriously, are you out of your mind? You could get a guard from Nebraska in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round who's the same as this guy from Notre Dame. Come on. When Seattle puts pressure on them, or they play Frisco the first game, and Frisco blitzes them, what do you think the guard from Notre Dame's going to do? He's going to watch the guy go through if he even makes the team. I just don't buy it. I do like Hitchens, the linebacker from Iowa, and Gardner, the linebacker or the end from Stanford. I like those picks because they needed it on defense since they lost the big stud. I can't think of it. They're all pro defensive end. He went to Denver. I'm so sorry with the names, but anyway, I like those 2 picks. I think not drafting Manziel is a huge, huge error. I mean, just Romo's such a choke. But anyway, they can keep Romo. We'll keep betting against them, and that's just fine and dandy with me. I love that, and we'll, it's like fine. They don't want to get better. Next pick is Detroit. And I look at Detroit and I just scratch my head. Ebron, a tight end from North Carolina. Now you're dealing with a gimmick offense. Larry Fedora was a great coach at Southern Miss. He's a great coach at North Carolina. He's an offensive coach. But seriously, this guy's average. He's certainly not a number 10 pick and not a first rounder. Certainly the Lions, who signed Golden Tate, who have Reggie Bush out of the backfield, and Calvin Johnson, would have been much better served getting Darquez Denard a shutdown corner, because God knows they need help in the secondary far more than any receiver. Their problem is Stafford. They should be starting Kellen Moore. A lot of people are surprised I say that, and they don't understand. Kellen Moore is like Joe Montana. He wins games. He won more games than any other quarterback. Boise was ranked in the top 5 all 4 years he was there. He threw 120, 130 touchdowns to 20, 30 interceptions in 4 years. He beat Georgia. He beat Virginia Tech. He beat TCU when TCU was ranked number 2 or 3 in the nation. So what are you looking at here? Kellen Moore should be the starter. You won't have any turnovers. He'd find these guys open. You got Killebrew from Oak State as a tight end already. Now he drops enough passes anyway. Why he's on the team, I don't know, but he's definitely better than this Ebron. I don't understand the pick. It was a terrible pick. Just a joke. I like Van Noy, the All-American from BYU for 2 years in a row, leading one of the top 5 defenses in the country for the last 2 years. I love that pick. I don't understand drafting a guy from Bloomsburg and Princeton when you could have had Shane Scove, linebacker from Stanford. You could have had Isaiah Thomas, linebacker, Isaiah Lewis, the strong safety from Michigan State, and Max Bulla, the linebacker from Michigan State. And I find it hard to believe Bloomsburg played Michigan State. Bloomsburg would win. I can't believe anybody on Bloomsburg is better than those 3 guys I just mentioned. Absolute travesty. Then you draft a guy from Princeton. You could have easily gotten those guys as a free agent. Nobody's drafting a guy from Bloomsburg. And the guy from Bloomsburg isn't that good that he's better than Michigan State guys or Michigan guys or Ohio State guys. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. You have a few flukes. Mean Joe Green went to North Texas, and Darrell Green went to Texas A&I, but not here, not with Bloomsburg and Princeton. Not to draft them in a 7-round draft, and you could get them easily as free agents now. Terrible, terrible drafting. Another week, they'll pick the one player, Van Noy. Ebron will probably get hurt. The guy from Bloomsburg or Princeton, you honestly think they're going to start and you make the team? And you're wasting 4th and 5th round picks with them. Again, terrible drafting, missing positions. This typical Lions. They'll draft a receiver. Why? I mean, as Denver proved, you don't win with throwing the ball to receivers. Seattle, Frisco proved you win with good defense, running, and a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over. So, anyway, another weak draft by Detroit. Green Bay, I look at very good. Give them a very high mark. Clinton Dix from Alabama will help their safety, but if Clay Matthews and A.J. Hawk are healthy, the defensive line seems good, but they needed a few more defensive players. I love Adams, the wide receiver for Fresno State, who caught all the passes from Derek Carr, and Abaderis from Wisconsin, who's very good, all Big Ten. I like the receivers they got. Abaderis and Jordy Nelson will be unstoppable there. This Adams will go on the other side, and when you got Aaron Rodgers, it's perfect, and you have the running back from Alabama, who I again can't remember, and I can picture. So they're going to be a really tough team. I like the receivers. I'm not crazy about Clinton Dix from Alabama because I haven't seen a lot of Alabama guys do anything in the pros. I'm sorry. I think it's more of a scheme thing, and they blitz a lot, and they haven't really faced good quarterbacks. Now, if you watch them against Alabama, they give up 42 points. How impressed are you with Clinton Dix? They give up 45 or 50 points to Oklahoma. You want to draft this guy? I don't see it. Next team is Minnesota. I thought they had a very good draft. I like Barr from UCLA, the linebacker. I like Cricken from Oregon State. And Yankee, the guard from Stanford. I think those 3 will be starters. Bridgewater, I do not like as a quarterback. I see E.J. Manuel, Christian Ponder, Josh Freeman here. Sorry, he's not your answer. I don't get the hype about him. Louisville lost to Central Florida. They barely beat Houston. That's what a winner does, and he's not a. To me, he's just an average quarterback, wasted first-round pick. He'll never do anything in the NFL. Next is New Orleans. I thought they had an average draft. I see Cook, the wide receiver from Oregon State's good. I have a problem with them drafting the cornerback from Nebraska and a linebacker from Cal. Cal had the worst defense in the Pac-10, one of the worst in the country, giving 40 points a game up. And you got Stanford linebacker Scove sitting there in the #1 defense in the Pac-10, probably in the top 5 or top 10 for sure in the country. And he's a playmaker, and you draft a linebacker from Cal. I don't understand that. On the worst defense in the league, how do you draft anybody from them when you could have the guy from Stanford who makes all the plays who's a much better linebacker? I honestly don't get it. I never could understand when you're drafting defense from Indiana or Northwestern and drafting offense from a team who's a defensive team. So it never makes any sense, and it never works out. So it's an average pick. Cooks will play, but New Orleans is loaded with wide receivers, so I don't really understand that. New York Giants, I think, had a very good draft. I like Beckham, the receiver from LSU, and better, I like Williams, the running back from BC. That'll make New York a balanced team again. They'll have the running that Eli Manning needs that takes the pressure and all the interceptions off of him. Beckham is good, and he'll go in good with the good wide receiver they had, who I can't think of. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, everybody, but I can picture the guy from the Giants, their good wide receiver. So this will be good. Manning will have a lot less interceptions. Their defense is very good. But I like the draft. You got 2 starters, and you probably got the best running back there. Philadelphia, I think, had an average draft. They got the best receiver in the draft, Matthews, from Vanderbilt, and I like Huff from Oregon. Smith, the linebacker from Louisville, will fit in. He's not great, but he'll be good for them. So you got 2 starters here. Matthews will take the place of Deshaun Jackson. As long as Jeremy Maclin is healthy, then it'll be very good. And I like that draft because they had to replace Deshaun Jackson, and Matthews is very good. Next is San Francisco. Their best draft was their free agent Sko from Stanford. I love Borland from Wisconsin. Ellington, the wide receiver from South Carolina. So basically, Sko and Borland will help replace Navarro Bowman until he's back with his knee, that terrible knee injury. Sko was a starter, and all these teams let him go, and drafting Cal linebackers and tight ends. I mean, it's a joke. And they get Borland too. I mean, they'll be set a linebacker in the next 10 years. I don't like Hyde from Ohio State. He needs to. He's no Frank Gore. I haven't seen a good Ohio State running back. And I go back to Archie Griffin. And I don't like Eddie George. I don't think he was any that good. But I mean, Ohio State's running backs for some reason don't do well in the pros. The kid at Arizona did nothing. This guy, he's a 3rd and 2 back against Seattle. We'll see if he gets the first down. That's why they drafted him. He's a big guy, so that's what he's there for. So we'll see what happens when they play Seattle. Otherwise, I don't see. They got the main man. They got Frank Gore, and he's their running back. So he's a good backup. But that's it. I like Ellington at wide receiver. He'll go good with Crabtree. And that'll help against Seattle. I think that'll help beat Seattle. I'm hoping Marcus Lattimore is recovered from South Carolina. He's a much better running back than this Hyde. So we'll see what happens. But I do love Frisco's draft. They just know how to draft. Seattle, I thought, had a weak draft, but they didn't really need too much. They got Marsh from UCLA, who will probably make the team. The rest of it I thought was really weak. St. Louis, I thought, had an average draft. I like Joyner, their cornerback from Florida State, and Alexander, the strong safety from Utah State. But again, they had a very good secondary and a very good defense. So I'm a little curious why they went so much defense. I like Trey Mason from Auburn, but it was a gimmick offense. And in the gimmick offense, like the Oregon spread offense, is a gimmick offense. The running backs don't do much in the pros. So I'm really curious to see what he does. I think the fact that he ran over the little 5'8" cornerback at Florida State to put Auburn up at the end of the game is, oh, look, he ran over the guy, but it was a little cornerback, not an NFL guy. So I question that he's that good. He did have a big game against Missouri, but Missouri was not that good of a defense, stopping the run. I don't think he had that big of a game against Alabama. But again, I'm curious. I hope he does well. St. Louis needs the runner to replace Steven Jackson, but I don't know. I don't see that that'll be that good. But I do like the pick. I question this Robinson, the offensive tackle from Auburn. He's not that highly rated. I think it was a gimmick offense, like I said. So I question that as your first pick. I don't think he comes in and starts, and I don't think he's any good, any better than what they have. So it's a real strange first-round pick. Last but not least, we got Tampa Bay. I like Evans, the wide receiver from A&M. He was All-American. And Jenkins, the tight end from Washington. They needed receivers. I just don't know how really good Evans is. Manziel had to scramble around, and it's one of these routes where he runs to daylight. So, you know, in a normal route where he has to make the cut, I don't know how good he is. So we'll see. I think he'll make the team. I don't know if he'll start, but Tampa Bay is so bad that he probably will, but it won't really make a difference. They don't have a quarterback. Them in Minnesota, that's their problem. Washington, I thought had a terrible draft. The only player I see is Murphy, the linebacker from Stanford. Any guy from Stanford, linebacker, defensive end, secondary, is a very good pick. They're a very solid defensive team, as you saw. My only thing is these Michigan State guys. I mean, except for Darkus Denard, nobody's drafting the All-American linebacker Pulla. Nobody's drafting Isaiah Lewis, their strong safety. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, this is the number 1 or 2 defense in the country. They stopped everybody, and you're giving them you're not drafting these guys. You're getting guys from Princeton and Bloomsburg. Again, terrible, terrible GMs, as I consistently see every year. This is why these teams are terrible, because they don't understand talent. They look at the wrong variable. Oh, he's fast. Look at him in pro day. He bench pressed this. It doesn't matter. It's can they play football, and they just missed the point, except for New England. All right, well, that's the NFC. Here's my prediction for their ending. I like San Francisco in the Super Bowl. They'll beat Seattle in that league, but I like Arizona also very strong in that league, in that division. I like Green Bay and Chicago in the Central. I like the Giants and Philadelphia in the East, and I like Atlanta and New Orleans in the South. Again, I think Frisco goes to the Super Bowl. They'll be hard to beat this year, especially with these linebackers they got, and they got everything else. It's funny, when I saw Frisco against Seattle, and you see the interception and some bad throws by, oh my God, tell me I forgot Frisco's quarterback. Oh my God, I deeply apologize. I'm just not in total football mode right now. But, oh my God, what's his name? How can I forget Frisco's quarterback? Anyway, I thought, he's not really that good. He's okay, but he's not really that good. And after watching Peyton Manning play Seattle, I go, you know what? The Frisco quarterback he's not that bad. He's pretty good. I deeply apologize for not remembering him. I'm sure I'll remember after, but I can picture him. I know he played for Nevada. I know that more than I know that. But I'm just drawing a blank on his name. I mean, I can see him, but oh my God. Anyway, he's not as bad a quarterback as I thought. For him to put up 20 on Seattle, that's very impressive. Drew Brees couldn't do it. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do it a couple of years ago. And Peyton couldn't do it, which I, of course, called here. All right, well, have a great weekend, everybody. Have a nice Memorial Day, and I look forward to kicking it off in August, late August. I already have looked at week 1 of the NFL, and I've already got 5 or 6 picks that I'm just waiting for the preseason to make sure nobody's injured, but I'm already seeing some really strong picks for week 1. All right, everybody, have a great day, and I look forward to winning you a lot of money. Again, I have not had a losing season ever, and I started this 1977. I have a few bad weeks. I have weeks where I don't have locks, but for the whole year, I'm too good at spotting talent, spotting winning teams, spotting winning coaches, and I do not lose more than a few weeks a year, as you can see from my history. All right, everybody, take care. If you have questions, comments, leave them here. Email me. Go to the site. Please ask. I'm here to help. Thank you very much.